welcome to our beloved parishioners. I'm Bailee.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Praise Be to Pod. Thank you so much for joining us. Ashley, what is on your heart?
Still sick. Still got a cough drop. Sorry.
Yeah.
I recently got back from my trip that I've been talking about for so long.
Yay.
To Japan and Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say one of the highlights was going to a bar in Tokyo called The Church.
Okay.
I'll post a picture. It's themed like a monastery, and all the servers are in nun costumes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so some pictures. I feel like I texted you from it.
I don't remember. I feel like I would have remembered that.
I was honestly very drunk.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Were you drunk on the blood of Christ?
Yes.
Good for you.
Definitely.
Oh, well, yes. I don't know if I've seen any photos of that, but I would like to because you know how much I love religious iconography.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my husband has like an Instagram account for our travel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And his reel about this club, I don't know if it's a club, bar, got 50,000 views.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. People really want to see the church.
Do you want to plug that account?
Sure.
Go for it.
Go Plain Crazy.
Yes, I love following it.
PLANE. Have you seen the reel?
I haven't seen
very
that one
popular.
specifically, but I will look into it.
It's weird it hasn't like pushed it to you.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm also like on a very niche specific.
He's posting like 2 videos a day right now.
Good for him.
He's wild.
He needs to do our content.
I do a couple, but I don't
Yeah,
do it as much.
it's a lot to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also when I was in Seoul in South Korea, very Christian country.
Mm-hmm. Very evangelical.
I was in a very touristy area.
Mm-hmm.
And this Korean man came up to me and asked me if I was saved. I was evangelized too, guys. In Korea.
Can you imagine had he known that you have this podcast? Or like that
I
conversation would have reconverted you.
I just froze. Like I had no idea what to say because I was like, he's like, do you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
Like, I used to work for him.
And I was like, I know him too well, dude.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
That guy's a terrible boss.
It was crazy.
Uh-huh.
I just was like, if only he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't happen to me in a long time.
Oh. It's been a moment. Well, I mean, my mom tries to evangelize to me every time I have a conversation with her, but that just feels like background noise at this point. But other than that, I haven't had anybody really send the gospel my way in a moment.
And I did hit up the Poodle Cafe, the other one, and we posted a reel on our account.
I did see that
Pod
one.
account about that this week. So if you haven't checked that out, you should go check it out.
The dogs are so cute.
Really cute. Never as great as the first time because, Tick wasn't there. He's retired. But we did see Poke-kun. Okay. Who's now number 1 dog for us.
Amazing.
Yeah. What about you? What's on your heart?
Well, I have 3 options here. Which one do I want to go with?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm going to go with the one that's the most palatable. So I have... So there are these certain TikToks that come across my For You page that I'm really into.
This is the most palatable one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's really dark, but not this one specifically. But there is a series of TikToks where people will like post photos of themselves from their childhood or photos of their childhood home that they felt there was a haunting presence in, and then they invite mediums to come into the comments and say if they see anything or if they can sense anything from the photos. I love them. They're so much fun. A lot of them are goofy. Like they're just ridiculous. I mostly just laugh at them because it's like the most ridiculous things you can hear in the comments, but it's super fun and it's fun to watch. Look at all these old photos. But recently there was one that came across my For You page, and I would say that I do not possess the gift to sense when there is an evil presence in a photo. That being said, there was a video that came across my For You page that was so awful in the way it made me feel when I saw it. All the photos are neutral. It's of like a kid playing in the playroom.
They're not like specifically eerie photos.
No, I mean like they're eerie in the sense that they're old.
Okay.
Like, you know how we like to ascribe like hauntings to like old things?
Yeah.
But
they're not from like 1805.
No.
They're from like the 70s.
They're sickening. to look at. And
Weird.
I could not put my finger on it. It gave me an immediate stomach ache. And then I looked in the comments and everyone was like, my stomach hurt looking at this. And then there was consistent testimonials. And granted, I understand that someone could read a comment and replicate it. I had not seen that happen on any of the other videos that followed this specific theme or this trend. But they all saw a man, a predatory man, hovering over the children in like all of them. And I wouldn't say I saw anything. Like, I don't see dead people, but like, or like even, I can't even conjure specifically what it is I saw, but I felt horror and nasty, just like heaviness in my stomach watching these photos. And I have not stopped thinking about it since. I don't know. Like, I've never felt something so powerful from just an image, but I don't know what it was. I'll see if I can find it. I've tried to find it again and I can't, but I don't know what it was, but there was something so wicked in these photos. And I'm just like, well, shit. Maybe I got to dabble in that stuff a little bit more.
Maybe we need to dabble less.
No, I think it's fun.
Maybe.
You know, I like to feel icky sometimes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sounds about right.
Anyway, that's it. That's what's been on my heart. I've just been thinking about the weird ghost photos that I saw.
Perfect. Yeah, go find more.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Just get possessed too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, perfect segue. We are again talking about hell. This is episode 2 of What the Hell? And today we're going to play a game called Devil's Advocate.
Ooh.
And the rules of the game are, I have these cards where I wrote scenarios on them. And you have to argue why it's totally fine as the devil's advocate. So there's like scenarios on here.
Okay.
Okay. So pick a card.
All right. And I read
Okay.
it?
Yep. Read it.
Taking the last piece of cake at the function without asking.
Yeah. You have to be devil's advocate. No, I should be devil's advocate.
Well, I don't know.
'Cause you
This
read
is
the
your
card?
game. You wrote these, so maybe I should do it, or we can
No,
take
you're
turns.
the devil's advocate.
Okay. I honestly, this one's not even that hard because I think that it's totally fine. I think that Minnesota is maybe one of the only places where there's a rule where you can't take the last piece. But there is something that is so fundamentally courageous about saying, I'm going to put like the oxygen mask on myself first and take this piece, because nobody wants to do it because it's so taboo. So to take that on is honestly like a gift to the host, because now they don't have to like clean up after you, and you've done something that no one dares to do there. This one isn't even hard. I think everybody, I take the last piece of cake and I can feel the shift in the room when I do.
Yeah, shame.
People like, I can tell that they're like, I cannot believe she just said that. Specifically if they offer it to you and you don't do the first, like, oh no, I couldn't. If I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll take that. Not in Minnesota.
What about in your household if you like finish something? Like if you're at home with someone else and they like finish the last of something in the house and don't tell you?
I think it's fine as long as they like don't leave the container in the fridge like my fucking brother would do.
It makes me mad because I'm like, I would have gotten more. Like, tell me you took it. Just tell me it's gone. That's what I think.
I think I'm confused about that. Like, they haven't communicated that they're taking it. Like, why?
Yeah. Like, we're not together. Like, you know, I'm gone for the day, and Danny eats the last of my cottage cheese, which he would never do because he doesn't like cottage cheese.
Yeah.
And he doesn't tell me that he ate the last of it, and then I go to get it, and it's gone. What it really happens with at my house is chips.
Okay.
I go to get my chips, they're gone.
It's been so long since I've lived with someone that in my mind I'm like, I don't want to report every time I like do something. Like, that's just to me the like nature of like, oh, like someone else lives here. I don't want to like have to ask permission or to report on everything. But I can also see like, man, I was just at the grocery store. I could have like picked that up. So I could see both sides on that one.
Okay. Now I'm going to pick one. Oh, these are my cough drops. Unwrapped and ready.
Okay.
Okay. Cutting in line. Cutting in line in a crowd and acting innocent. I would say harder. That I do this everywhere I go in Minnesota because no one notices.
Oh, I actually have a harder time defending that one. That one's a little icky to me.
I think everyone in Minnesota is so dumb. And anytime I get in a line, I realize it's not even a line. They just stood behind someone because they're an idiot, and the line's over there, and there's 2 people in it.
Okay, I have been in that conundrum.
That happens constantly
I will
here.
say, if there is lack of structure of the line, and people are like, we're just wandering.
I go all the way to the front and figure out what's really going on.
Yeah.
And then I get in.
Okay. Okay, I could see that being like you are taking initiative and direction and you're being rewarded for that. And that makes sense to me.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, pick a good one.
Okay.
Pick a good one.
Pretending to not see a mistake someone made at work for the drama. So I'm assuming you mean something that they would get in trouble for. You let them like take the fall for it. I would say that my devil's advocate take on this is I'm not my sister's keeper. And it's not my responsibility to police other people or be their parent. And I personally, as a woman at a workplace, don't want people to get in the habit of thinking that I'm going to save them or rescue them out of situations and that I'm going to be the final editor, that I'm going to catch all the mistakes. So if anything, you're doing something for feminism by not catching people's mistakes last minute. Yeah, where it's like, no, you actually have to check your own work. So I would say that that's like, I don't know, the fifth wave of feminism. That's my devil's advocate take.
Okay. Mine is lying about your age plus 1 to 10 years on a dating app.
Okay.
I would say, do whatever you can to fight the patriarchy.
Yeah.
That's it.
I will say, it just if you just want to like sleep with someone, I think it's fine. If you want to like build a life with someone, it makes sense that someone wants to be more specific about the age bracket that they're interested in.
With the rest are all good.
Oh, okay.
I was going to pick one for you, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Ghosting someone after a date. Oh, I actually do think it's okay.
Yeah. Tell me more, devil.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends. So if you go on a date with someone and they text you afterwards saying, I had a nice time and I'd like to see you again, I do think you should say if you're not interested. But a mutual ghosting where like neither person addresses the other person, I think it's totally fine.
I don't even think that's a ghost.
Yeah, I would say that's fine. Also, if somebody was rude to you or there's something super obvious that happened on the date where they like it's more than just like we didn't vibe, but rather that they said something like insulting or offending or they crossed a boundary, I don't think you need to hold people's hand through why you don't want to see them again.
Okay, pick the last one for me.
For you?
Yeah. Okay. You can look at them. See like which one you want me to do. Last one. Okay, read it.
Sabotaging a friend's dating life to keep them single.
Okay, we all know it's good for women, and it's to be single.
Okay.
It's not to be with anybody.
Okay.
So really, you're just making their life better.
Okay. I think you can do that if you're also single. And you're just like, I want to like keep people in this with me. But if you're in a relationship and you keep if you want to sabotage someone's dating life because you want to keep them single, that to me is more predatory because you're like, oh, I want to keep them at my beck and call. Yeah. Or while I receive the benefits of being in a relationship, the comforts that come along that, I want to keep them in the trenches so that I get their cute little stories and I have like that go-to person. I think that's where it gets icky. But if you're also single, it's like, because being single is so fun when you have a ton of friends. Yeah. It's like so chill.
Right.
So if you want to keep that community strong, that makes sense to me. I still think I wouldn't do it. But yeah, if we're doing devil's advocate.
No, like I would never sabotage a friend in general. But
yeah,
if we're being the devil's advocate.
Yeah. We're just saving them from men and the perils of the patriarchy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the Lord's work.
Okay. That was my game.
I actually really liked that.
Thank you.
We should follow that.
It was a little clunky, but
I liked that because I think that we were following kind of a similar this or that, truth or lie, yes or no structure in our games. And this was kind of like a fun little creative spin on it. I really like that.
Yeah. Great.
Congratulations. Anyway, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Amazing.
Your turn.
All right. So we are going to do a part 2 on the origins of hell today. But in our last week's episode, we talked a little bit more about the historical evolution of how people have believed in hell over time. If you were raised evangelical, you probably had a pretty narrow, specific, this is the truth about hell theology taught to you, when in reality, there was actually a ton of dissent and discourse on what hell was or if it even existed. So I think today we're going to get into a lot of the personal impacts that belief in hell had on our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will go ahead and start on kind of like what I was taught about hell growing up and what my general belief about it was. So I was taught that hell was an eternal location. a place with intense fire and suffering, that people were sent, not for being bad, but for not accepting Jesus into their heart.
Correct.
And that was a clear distinction, I think, between like Protestant evangelicalism and maybe some other expressions of faith. There was a little bit more like, if you behave good in this life, if you make righteous decisions, you will inherit eternal life. Whereas if you are wicked at the core, then you'll go to hell. But that is not what we believed growing up. In fact, a story that we would go on a lot was the person that was crucified next to Jesus on the cross. He was a thief, and he repents on the cross next to Jesus. And Jesus says that he forgives him and that he will be with him that day in paradise, which indicates that even with a life full of sin, you can be redeemed in the end if you ask Jesus for forgiveness, even in your dying breaths.
Yeah.
So we believed, I think there was this a really big thing that solidified that too was it Charles Manson? It was a serial killer who accepted Jesus on death row. And so we just like believed that he was saved, even though he was like,
I don't know,
wicked. I think it was Charles Manson.
Oh.
No, somebody.
This is like the intersection of everything I'm interested in. So I'm surprised I've never heard this.
Yeah, but that was a really big thing where like this person, I don't really want to get into it because it's just so gruesome, but he was like, he killed children and was so wicked. But we truly believe that because he was converted by his chaplain on death row, that
Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer are
Dahmer.
rumored in the AI overview of Google.
Okay, so Jeffrey Dahmer is who I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was a cannibalism thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, he accepted Jesus, and that was something we talked about. Like, he is in heaven, technically. And we also believe that somebody like Gandhi wouldn't be in heaven.
Right.
Even though he lived a righteous life. I know that there's a lot of controversy around Gandhi, but somebody like him who wasn't a Christian, but lived a somewhat seemingly righteous life would go to hell, but then someone like Jeffrey Dahmer would go to heaven. So it was so contingent and specific on salvation and surrendering your life to Christ.
And we didn't even cover that in the timeline. It was more like, is hell a part of their theology at all?
Yeah.
It wasn't like how you got there as much.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see when that shifted.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but there was, maybe we could like look into that more. But I think a lot of it was really good news for people who lived a life that did not demonstrate righteousness, which I think is maybe one of the appeals that we've talked about, like the prison to the pulpit pipeline or drugs to the pulpit, where people who have really, whose lives have exiled them from society because of how dark they were, find redemption in Christianity and end up taking on like a pastoral role because it's the only place that really accepts them. And I think that a hell theology where no matter how they lived their life before, they can be forgiven is really good news for people like that.
Of course.
And I think that that's maybe what appealed to the community of faith that I grew up in, because there was a lot of rough lives before. It was like a low income church with a lot of people who had served time in prison. So it made sense that that was kind of the belief we had, which was a little maybe less self-righteous than what a lot of takes on hell might be in different faith communities.
Seeing it more as like the opposite, like heaven is the hope more than like hell is the fear.
Yeah, I think so. Heaven was definitely the hope, but like hell also was a very significant like fear-based tactic. I know that you didn't in your home growing up necessarily grow up with a belief in hell, but did you believe in hell growing up? Or like, what was that?
I think both my parents did. Yeah.
Okay. And what did they tell you about it?
I don't know. I think, good question. I know that they told me a lot about it, but it was just like, generally we all believe this, right?
Yeah.
You know, like very clearly we believe that we're going to heaven because we're all baptized in whatever denomination we are. Like I got baptized as a baby and then I got baptized again when I was a teen. Because I was like, that doesn't count. I was a baby.
Yeah.
And I was very righteous about it. And I don't know. My parents didn't talk about it a lot. They weren't like fear mongering with hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
That's so interesting because we had, I wouldn't say an anti-baptism theology, but like our church was really, funny enough, hell-bent, forgive me for the pun, but hell-bent on like reminding people that baptism is not what gets you into heaven. So baby baptisms were like really looked down upon because it felt like our pastors were concerned that people would get that confused with salvation. So they were like, it's almost not even worth baptizing your babies until someone reaches the age of accountability and they can actually make that choice for themselves. But like my mom, who was a pastor, I haven't talked to her about this in a while. I don't think that she would think that someone who wasn't baptized would necessarily go.
No, it was never a sign of hell.
Yeah.
Salvation.
That's more of a Catholicism thing. Yeah.
It was more just like everyone knew that we were all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. It was a public declaration and it was like a joyful celebration of salvation, but it was the accessory to salvation. But it had nothing to do with where you would spend eternity.
Yeah.
What were you taught about, like, how when you did enter the evangelical church?
I was more scared of, I wasn't as scared of like me going to hell. Like some people were like, did I do enough? Did I do it right? Like I was like, I said the prayer.
Yeah.
I raised my hand. You know, I went up to the altar or whatever at camp many times. So I think I'm saved.
Yeah.
But my friends aren't saved. They're Lutheran.
Yeah. That
They're
was
not
a really
Christian enough.
That was a really big torment for me too. Was that I felt like I lived with this constant agony of knowing people I loved went to hell.
And I was like very concerned about radicalizing them. To be more like me.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't like crazy as a Christian, you obviously weren't saved.
Yeah.
So I remember having like some really horrific situations. My friend Michelle that I grew up with were the same age, and we like were roommates in college together, and she listens to the podcast every week. So shout out Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I remember saying to her, and thank God she has a terrible memory because she probably doesn't remember this. I think we were seniors in high school, and I was so scared of her going to hell. And I said something to her like, I just don't want you to go to hell. Like what have you said to God? You know, like questioning her salvation.
Yeah.
Because I from the bottom of my heart like wanted her to be with me.
Yeah.
In the afterlife.
Yeah.
But she was like, I'm not going to hell.
Yeah.
Like she's like such a good person, such a kind person, and I was like, that's not how it works, though.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I was just so zealous and so stressed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was deeply stressed about it too. In fact, one of my earliest memories of the theology of hell really hitting me is so we were learning about hell at a very young age and in like grotesque detail. And I remember asking my mom questions about hell and about salvation and who gets to go to heaven and who doesn't. And I asked her about my grandfather, her father, who passed away when she was a kid, who she believes did not necessarily accept Jesus into his heart. And I remember her saying, like, I don't know if he's in heaven or hell. And I remember that tormenting me, knowing that my grandfather, who I had never met, might not like. And I remember feeling that for my mom, being like, I can't even, because my dad had passed away at that time too, but I had confidence that he went to heaven. But I remember feeling so much grief for my mom that she could not have that same assurance for her own father that I did for mine.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking about that twice a day minimum. Like I would think about it regularly. And it was so tormenting to me because I really believed in what my parents told me about hell, which is that if you don't accept Jesus into your heart, you burn there for eternity, and that like you experience every type of physical and mental and spiritual torment, anything that would be the absence of God. Yeah. That you were consumed with like every terror. And I remember laying in bed crying, thinking about people I loved being in hell. Like it was so, to be honest, like I was afraid of going to hell personally, but it was more like the obvious cases where someone isn't a Christian. Yeah. Like I remember it just tormenting me as a kid. Like it was so painful, and I felt such an intense level of responsibility. Yeah. And I also, I think I've shared this in other episodes, but there was a, period of time where if I went to go hang out with a friend and I would come home when I was a kid, my mom would ask me if I evangelized to them. And, I was 10, so I often hadn't. Bigger deal. Oops. Sometimes all we did was play with Barbies, or, Bratz dolls or whatever. And I remember, I would sometimes get a lecture like, you do realize that if your friend passes away and goes to hell, and it's because you did not evangelize to them, that's like blood on your hands. And
blood on your hands.
Yes. And it was like, and it was like I would be sat down and be like, it's that serious. And we love you, but like you have would really, and I don't think that anyone I know would say anything of that nature now.
Yeah.
But at the time it was really that serious. And I just remember it being like, I'm such a coward.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that I let my ego get in the way of sharing with this person, like the urgency of accepting Jesus into your heart. I should have really just been playing with Barbies, but instead I was having like really intense existential crises as a kid. And I felt like so much pressure on me. And I will say this too. We have a lot of conversations about a lot of the different quirks of Christianity. And there's a lot of things that really anger me, like Christian nationalism, homophobia, purity culture, a lot of things that I'm just like, oh, I fucking hate that. But when it comes to hell, I just feel sorry for anybody who still believes in hell. And I actually don't have a lot of anger towards them because I just remember like you are so bound when you believe in hell.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad.
It's very heavy.
Yeah.
If you truly believe in it the way that we were taught, it's like you have to say these special words to get the right incantation to be accepted into this like secret club after you die.
Literally, it's like a country club.
Yes. It's very heavy because anyone you meet that you don't know if they said the words right in their heart, they're up for judgment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I was exposed to a lot of people from different countries and like obviously not Christian countries and not evangelical countries because, there aren't enough in the world for a fourth grade American girl. And I was like, how can all of these people be wrong?
Right.
Like, how can all my friends from these cool places with their pretty beats in their windows, like, how is that wrong?
Right. And I also, we had a very missions heavy family as well. And so I remember having a lot of questions about, well, what about the people that haven't heard about Jesus? Or, if, most people, aside from people maybe in like more remote locations, had been introduced to Christianity in some aspect thanks to the Crusades and the imperial empires backed by Christianity. But before then, I remember being really tormented. Like, what about all the people who how is that fair? They never heard about Jesus and they still are punished for what they do not know. And two schools of thought were introduced to me. And one of them was that there was a belief that everybody at some point does get the opportunity. And so a lot of times, I think I'm sure you heard this in a lot of mission circles, that people would have visitations in remote locations that had never, and I actually like
dreams.
Yep. And I know of some people who claim to be visited by Jesus in dreams, and it's part of the mystery of everything. And so that is a theory that everybody at some point gets an opportunity. We just maybe don't hear about it because maybe Jesus comes to them right before they die, like if they're dying, and gives them an opportunity there. But then there's also the belief that doesn't happen, but life is just cruelly unfair.
It's and like the reason for the mission field.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like why the weight of the world is on your shoulders. And I would say from a pretty young age, I got comfortable with a cruel God. Yep. Or a God that like a deeply unfair world. And so to be honest, when a lot of people talk about like one of the things that let them stop believing in hell was, I just can't imagine a God that would do that. That never really resonated with me because I certainly could. Because God seemed profoundly cruel.
Yeah.
Like it is no mystery to me that the same God that ordered Saul's army to kill every man, woman, and child in a village would also believe in hell. That seems pretty on brand for him.
Yeah.
And so like I feel, and I still to this day wrestle with like the cruelty of God is not like it's not lost on me. Like it's on the table that the God who's created this all also has a justice system that is so beyond what we would consider like humanism. And that was something that was taught to us too, that like a lot of our Western understanding of what is right versus wrong and what is fair and not is humanism and equality, which is not as prevalent in scripture as it is in more like Western interpretations of, you know, how life should be for people.
Yeah, but where I see it come in is with good old St. Augustine
Mm-hmm.
and him just trying to like apply Roman law to scripture.
Yeah.
Like he's taking the ideas and philosophies of law.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how religion is taught now.
Yeah.
Like
There's more of like a justice and atonement.
It is like laws.
Yeah.
It is not loving and spiritual and
mysterious.
Mysterious.
There's more of like a method behind
clear.
it where it's like if you do this, this, and this, and you operate
Yeah.
in this, and this, and you like follow the level of the
Mhm.
law to the T, that is what will secure your position in the afterlife. And that's not what I see in scripture. I see a deeply unfair system, and I see a lot of mercy
Right.
and wrath and like luck to salvation. Personally, at least.
Oh, a lot of talk about salvation and not enough talk about hell himself.
Yeah.
What about, like, did you think about the rapture and hell together at all?
I did a little bit. I think we were a lot more end times focused than we were hell focused, I will say. And I think that they were oftentimes brought together because they were all going to end up in the same place anyway. The people who died and went to hell before the end times were already in the location that the people who died in the end times would eventually go into. Or I think there was a belief that people in hell would be poured into the lake of fire at the end of it. So they would all come together in that like eternal torment, but there might be a little bit of like a relocation shift, but it was all kind of in the same bucket. What about with you?
Well, I was just trying to see like if the anxiety was similar.
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like you were more impacted by rapture anxiety, but it's kind of similar, you know?
I would say, I think that, so the rapture felt less scary than hell because there was a little bit more potential for redemption in the rapture. So with hell, if you go to hell, that's it. Like there's no way out of hell.
Mm-hmm.
But with the rapture, there was a belief that you could be raptured.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you hadn't accepted Jesus at that time, that you could, you had a 7-year window of the tribulation to join the forces for good and the army of God. And then you could be a really impactful, powerful player on behalf of God until the the Battle of Armageddon or
in the post-trib.
Yeah, exactly.
Theology.
So I think that there was still an end times glory. And then I also think that there were so many weird little theology events that were supposed to take place in the end time that I think people were excited about. So a lot of Zionism, I think, influences the weird horniness that evangelicals get around the end times because they're so excited to see what happens in Israel. And because they believe that like all of the Jewish people are supposed to return to Israel before Jesus can come back. And then there's this big like political explosion around that. So I think that there's this weird excitement around the end times, whereas like hell is just, there's so much despair surrounding it. At least that was my take on it.
I remember, I remember like in my teen years is when I was really zealous.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a movie, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, starring Katie Holmes and Barry
What?
Watson.
I've never heard of that.
It's not great.
I
There's a
believe-
reason
I
you've
actually
never heard of it.
believe that
It's not great. But I loved Dawson's Creek, so I'd watch anything with Katie Holmes. And Barry Watson, he was from Seventh Heaven. So like, of course, gold mine for me.
Shout out to whoever does the clips of who watches episodes of Seventh Heaven and then recaps
Oh my
them.
God, it's so good.
He is one of my favorite creators.
he's
like
really
they
good.
are so funny. And he does a lot of like old Christian evangelical like time capsule films and TV shows. Oh, I think that he's one of the bigger inspirations for this podcast. For
totally.
me. He's so good.
Okay, so in this movie, I don't remember what happened specifically, but for some reason their teacher is like an asshole woman, and they like kidnap her and tie her to her bed.
Oh.
It's really weird. I don't know if they kill her or not, but it's very weird and dark. But at one point in the movie, Katie Holmes says, "We're going to burn in hell for this." And Barry Watson says, "It'll be a party." And we're being like, oh, to be able to have this like
to be able to make a joke about
freely
hell.
idea about burning in hell.
Yeah.
I wish I could be as carefree as Katie Holmes.
I want to learn how to romanticize hell.
I know. I was so jealous.
Yeah. I kind of know what you mean. Like there were some colloquial jokes around the severity of certain Christian messages that I really envied, that people were able to be so light and free about it, where I was like so tormented by I don't know what they'd be called. I do kind of resonate with that feeling for sure. I had so I think that maybe one of the more impactful experiences that I had when it came to hell is we had a youth pastor in our church, and this is not a word that I would use to describe most of the people from my religious background because I still hold them dear to my heart. But this man was abusive, spiritually abusive. And if you're listening and you grew up in my church, you know exactly who I'm talking about right now. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about him later. But he was like a children's pastor and a youth pastor. And I swear to God, he got off on making kids afraid of hell. He like really coined the pornification of hell, and to the point where we would have, it was always Wednesday night because that's when like the heavy stuff with youth group happens, like testimony night and stuff like that. He would have all of us like shut our eyes, and he would take us through like imagery step by step of what hell is like with the lights off and everything.
How did he know?
Well, probably because he was the devil.
Because he read Dante's Inferno?
I think that he just like, I think he just loved to torment people. Like, I don't really know what his deal was. Like,
he's probably BTK too.
Something like that. I don't know what his deal was. I will also say he hated me, and other people noticed it too. And I hated, like the evil in me saw the evil in him.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh. And I was this little, like I did not make it easy for him. And also it was so like,
is he still alive? Because I feel like he's not.
I don't know. Like if he's like, I'm sure he's listening because he's always fucking like obsessed with exploiting me. So like, or not exploiting me, but like getting on my ass. So like, if you're listening, you know who you are. Like come join my podcast so we can like fight it out. Like fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually just going to say his name right now.
Do it.
Pastor Josh.
I'm gonna say like it's a full government name. It's like Pastor Nate,
Pastor Josh.
Nobody fucking knows who that is.
I'm not gonna put his last name on it because I want to protect his kids.
Say his name,
Pastor Bill.
It's like the most played name ever.
Yeah, I don't want his kids to get any heat.
Well, they probably already know. They probably feel validated.
Okay. Well, anyway, Pastor Josh,
because they know exactly what hell looks like according to Pastor Josh.
Yeah, there was such an authority struggle between it. And if you ask any of the kids in my youth group, they're like, "Yeah, we don't know what was going on with that." Like, he was really hard on me. I was also a living terror in his class, but I was normally pretty respectful to adults, but not him. Not him. Like, I had glowing reviews from all my teachers, but when it came to Pastor Josh,
I actually had really lovely youth leaders.
We had another youth pastor after him who was wonderful. Like, she was amazing.
I don't know if we ever had like a real salaried youth pastor.
Yeah.
It seemed to just be like parents from the church.
Yeah.
That were kind-hearted enough to serve and teach Sunday school and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like so patient with us, and I was always such an asshole.
Yeah. No, we had like our other youth pastor after that was a lovely person who I have only good things to say about. Like, I'm sure we don't ideologically align, but she was so wonderful.
That's all we ask for.
Yeah. But fucking Pastor Josh, I can't believe I just said his name. He loved to take us through step-by-step scenarios of what it was like to burn in hell. And then he would tell the story about how he had a really good friend when he was a kid who he felt the Holy Spirit tell him you need to evangelize to this friend. And he didn't because he wanted to be cool and he was embarrassed. And then he found out that his friend passed away. And he would always say, he's like, and that friend of mine is currently in this moment burning in hell because of that. And you guys do not want to have that agony and that burden on your shoulders. And there were people in my life, and it's their story to tell, but like still experience psychological damage from a lot of the hell theology that we were raised in. I do want to make things clear that that is not how my mother would operate as the pastor of the church. She does believe in hell, but I don't think that, like,
that's not where she's like speaking out of.
Yeah, so I want it to be very clear that she was not tormenting me to the extent of like that. But yeah, it was like very severe to the point where like I have conversations with people who still have trouble sleeping because of that being like ingrained into our memory, and like many, many tears crying ourselves to sleep thinking about it. So I would say that like how we were taught about hell is one of the more abusive doctrines that we were exposed to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be. And even if it isn't pushed on you that strictly, it's always there.
Yeah.
It's always there
always
in
looming.
the back of your mind. It's always looming. You're always like a little bit afraid that someone you know isn't going to heaven.
Yeah.
Or like, I was like terrified to marry a man who wasn't saved because we wouldn't be together in the afterlife.
Yeah. And there was like, it was like the eye of Sauron watching every move that you made. There was nothing that you could do in private that you knew that you would not have to account for on Judgment Day when the tallies were put against you. So everything did weigh on that. And then also like the desire to be with my loved ones in the afterlife was such a big thing. So anytime someone passed away and I wasn't entirely sure where they stood with Christ, that weighed on me so heavily.
It's funny because I didn't think my mom had these theological ideals, but she's even texted me in the last few years like, I know that you've changed your mind, you've been through so much, but like I hope that you're still in heaven with me. And I was like, well, I'm saved.
I already did the salvation's prayer.
I said the prayers.
Yeah.
So like I'm already secured if this is like the level of theology that you believe in.
Yeah.
Like I'm good there.
So you're a once saved, always saved girl? Or you were?
I think so, yeah.
We were not that.
Oh.
No. Because the greatest sin would be to have accepted Jesus and then to turn your back on him, which was blasphemy. So if you had accepted Jesus and you had experienced the glory of God and decided, that was in Mormonism. We talked about
that. It's also a circle of hell.
Yeah, but that's outer darkness was the people who knew God but didn't.
Betrayal, treachery.
Yes.
Ninth circle.
Exactly. And that was an unforgivable sin. And so that was kind of the insurance they put on the people who were like, oh, I'm saved, I'm good. Like, no, like if you're saved and then you turn your back, that's the worst thing you could do.
Well, like what's turning your back?
It would be having
like going and being a murderer?
No, like becoming an atheist after you were a Christian.
Just on the inside.
Yeah. It was a heart posture of rejection of God after you had accepted him. It freaks me out. It was infidelity.
It freaks me out when you code switch back into like Christian terminology.
It scares you?
It's crazy because you have such a good memory. You can recite it perfectly. Yeah. Like you are the mouthpiece of the pastor. Like,
yeah. No,
it's creepy.
It's true because I enter like flow state when I do it, and it feels like I have a returning memory of it.
Okay, you use the term flow state quite a bit. I don't know
today.
What it means. No, in general, you talked about it in clips I recently watched.
Oh,
like in the New Year's clip or something. You were like, I can get in this flow state. You talk about it in conversational stuff. I never know what you're saying.
Okay, so flow state is like when you. So like, here's an example of that. You know, when you're working and you're like, oh, I just cannot focus. And then all of a sudden you like hit a stream where you're just
like the groove.
Yeah, the groove. Like it's like nose to the grindstone.
You get in the groove.
It's like Adderall times 6 and you're just like, it's like it becomes muscle memory for you and you're not even thinking about it. That's flow state.
Okay, but what if you're just like obsessing over certain details?
I wouldn't call that flow state.
Okay.
I think flow state has a certain level of effortlessness to it.
Okay.
Because you enter the stream of whatever it is that you're in, and then you're like, I wouldn't even be able to stop if I wanted to. Like I'm doing it. Any other questions?
I don't think I've ever been there.
Oh. I love flow state. It's so cool.
I'd like to get there.
Okay. We'll talk afterwards about other like more flow state stuff.
Okay, we are wrapping up.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions or topics about hell before I ask you a final question?
What do you believe about the afterlife? And do you have
good
hell
question.
theology still that remains?
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't have any thoughts.
Do you lean anyway? Do you feel like there's a twinkle in your eye about what happens after we die? Is there hope in your heart?
I think if I were to invent my own religion, my hope would be reincarnation.
Okay.
I think that is the most just version.
Yeah.
And it's the cutest.
It's so cute.
Yeah. That sounds nice.
I love the idea of me being like a grasshopper in my last life.
Yeah. But what I truly believe, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it. Maybe I'll think about it in 10 years.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I feel like in my language, when I talk about the afterlife, I talk about it like reincarnation. Like I always say that my cat, Uncle Marty, and I have known each other in every lifetime. And I kind of mean it and I kind of don't. There does feel, I have had situations where I feel a familiarity with a soul when I meet somebody. And then also there's also people I've met where I'm like, oh, you feel like you've wronged me in a past life. Like you feel like you're my Achilles heel in every lifetime. So there does feel like there's a cyclical nature.
Pastor Josh.
Like Pastor Josh, I'll find him in every lifetime and we will like have a fist fight. He's going to be someone who cuts me off in traffic in my next life. Like the levels of intensity like vary. And then there will be another life where he's like an ex-husband. Like he's just always going to come back and ruin my life. But so that there feels like there's a cyclical nature to the afterlife. I still feel really connected to people who have passed away. And there is a hope in my heart that I am able to reconnect with them. I don't know what that looks like, but it also feels like, a lot of instincts that we have in our life have like some type of biological purpose. Yeah. But to me, it doesn't make sense that we would grieve the loss of a loved one if there wasn't a motivation to reconnect with them again. Like what would be the evolutionary purpose of grief? Like the grief of death. Because it's literally, it debilitates you, except for, I guess, to keep people alive as best as you can. Yeah. But I love the idea of being reconnected with people. As far as divine punishment goes, I've never been wronged bad enough to desire divine punishment. I think if you're somebody who has been so decimated by someone, it makes sense that the theology of hell would appeal to you. Like I think about people who are experiencing like genocide. And I think that the theology of hell would appeal to me if I will not rest until I know that the flesh of my enemy will burn in the next life. Like I feel like it's a privilege to not believe in hell in that sense. So I would say that I don't, but I just don't know. And I don't need something to feel good for it to be true. So like, I don't know, there's a lot of really hard truths, so that hell could be one of them, but I don't really feel inclined to believe in hell. I think it's a little goofy. So yeah, I don't know. I could talk for hours about it, but I would not get anywhere.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
While we're here on the topic. Why is the devil so hot?
Wait, no, he really is, though. I feel like all of the devil imagery, I'm like, maybe.
I know.
It's very much so. What do they call it on the internet? Hear me out. He's like a hear me out.
Yeah.
There is something that feels really, because he's got like low key energy to him, where it's like he's been rejected by God.
Doesn't care.
And he's like kind of bad, but I feel like if you got to know him, he'd
smart,
be like misunderstood.
Cunning. Yeah. He has some trauma.
He's got so much trauma.
Yeah. I want to fix him.
Yeah. He was very much so like the Cain in the Cain and Abel story. Yeah.
And when I did this research and I looked at and I saw that a lot of the devil imagery was actually sad.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to me because today's devil is always pictured as like smirking or cunning or smiling.
He enjoys the torture.
Putting his fingers together creepily.
He's the serpent in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk more next week.
Yes.
About that hot devil.
We will. I can't wait.
Blessed are the listeners, for they shall never again hear the question, if you died tonight, do you know what would happen to you? Find us at praisebetopod.com on the web and praisebetopod on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. It is finished.
It is finished.
Bye.
Bye-bye.